Know your rights and know your history. So we've all heard on one shape, form, or another, whether it's on a detective movie, detective show, or any cops and robbers type thing, the Miranda rights, right? Well, that case came from an actual case from Ernesto Miranda. He was actually a guy who was born on, I want to say March 9th, 1941, out of Mesa, Arizona. He was a troubled kid from the jump. His mom died at a very early age. His father remarried, but he kind of kept the distance between his father, his stepmom, and his brother. He was kind of a solo guy, and he was a guy that would get in trouble. By the time he was 15 years old, he found himself in a school for boys out in Arizona. He did a couple terms there for the school for boys for robbery and burglary and stuff like that. He was very into criminal activities from a young age. He soon thereafter actually moved to LA for a little bit, caught I want to say a burglary charge and had some kind of sexual assault on his thing, but he beat that case. He bounced from LA and then he just started hitting southern states, going, in southern part of the United States, and all the while, same thing, catching cases. He was a lot into burglary. He was probably into drugs. He was just a guy that was off the grid and was always getting busted for one thing or another, right? But then what happened was I want to say it's Phoenix, Arizona. He was accused on March 2nd, 1963 of raping a woman, kidnap and rape. She gave her account. I think they had a partial license plate on his vehicle. They got him and he confessed. He confessed pretty quickly. It didn't quite match exactly what the story that she gave, but it was enough where he confessed, signed the paper, and they had that confession, which, when you go to court and you got somebody confess, that's pretty hard evidence. What happened, though, his lawyer actually tried to fight it because he said they violated his Fifth Amendment. And the Fifth Amendment, what it does, it requires law enforcement officials to advise suspects of the rights to remain silent and to obtain an attorney during interrogations while in police custody. Well, they didn't read him those rights. And at the time, those were not called the Miranda rights because this is a gentleman who actually made that law come into effect because of all the stuff that happened. So they ended up finding him guilty anyways. He goes to prison. So he got arrested in 63. He goes to prison. The case finally makes itself all the way up to the Supreme Court. And cases that go to the Supreme Court are usually some of the most important. You're going to go from your state level. You go to their appeals court. And after that appeals court, you go to the state's appeals court. And then the cases will end up at the Supreme Court if they will hear them, because most cases just will not be heard by the Supreme Court. It's only the top cases, right? So in 1966, the Supreme Court actually ruled in Ernesto Miranda's favor, saying that police need to let people know their rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say cannot be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you can afford an attorney, and one will be provided for you. Do you understand these rights? I have just read to you. With these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me? That's what cops will tell you. And most people will dismiss that and just say yes, no, without even knowing that is such a huge right that we have to stay silent. And that's probably one of the most powerful weapons we have anytime we are approached by police officers. And I'm not saying because you're guilty, because you're innocent, you need to exercise those rights. And that's where this came from. And those are the rights that we take so much for granted. We hear them on TV, we hear them all the time, and we just think, it's just another thing the cop has to say. No, he's letting you know you don't have to say anything, man. You don't have to talk to them. You can get an attorney. And that's probably the most powerful weapon you have, because most of the time when people get arrested, that first interaction between the police is what's going to make you or break your case. So I would advise people to be quiet and get an attorney anytime, whether it's a DUI, whether it's a murder case, whether it's a robbery case, whatever it is. Always stay silent and get an attorney, people. Well, so what happened was he did get his case overturned, even though they didn't have his confession anymore. But they retried him. He was found guilty, and eventually he was released from prison in 1972, I believe it was. Once he was released from prison, by that time the Supreme Court ruled in 66, and that's why we have the Miranda rights. But what happened to Mr. Miranda wasn't so great and glamorous. By, I want to say it was 1976, he found himself in a restroom at a poker game. He got into an argument with some guy. Some guy stabbed him, killed him, and that was the end of Mr. Ernesto Miranda. But his name and his legacy from his case will live forever. It's something that you hear, like I said, in every movie, every show, and in every interaction. Everybody that's ever dealt with the police has heard that same line in speech. Like I said, don't take it for granted, people. And this here is a small video to let you know your rights and your history. If you like the content, please subscribe and like. And if you don't. Other than that, leave a message. Let me know what you think. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.